Give me a moment. I think we should be okay tonight. There's only 4 of us, so
Yeah.
it's definitely a Discord thing.
You think it's when everybody's when we've got 7 people on?
Yeah, it's just Discord is a resource hog. Once I restarted it during the break, it seemed fine after that. But to start off with, so I've restarted Discord already before I came in.
Right.
See, if I open up Discord in Task Manager, it's showing 3 instances running, though I'm only in this room. So I don't know how it works and out, but I have seen it with like 6 or 7, and it's like, well, I'm only in one room, so why has it got so many versions running? All using different amounts of CPU and things.
Right, we can go live now if you want.
All right, go live. Tell me when.
No,
people. All right. Welcome to Eternal Lies, gentlemen. Where my goal is to drive you insane, but I'm not doing a very good job of it. Because it's not strictly Cthulhu, it's a more pulpy version. So, you're currently in Los Angeles and you are searching for clues or trying to piece together what happened in 1924. And you've got a number of kind of bits of information, and I think you're probably in a position to have a really good conversation with your benefactor if you so wished. But perhaps there are still some things that you wish to pursue. And so as we pick up at the end of yet another day, as far as I can calculate, this is actually the end of your 7th day in Los Angeles, believe it or not.
Wow, that's gone quick.
Yeah, you have spent a good 7 days gathering information. And yesterday you finally managed to trace and track the accountant, Buckvald, where he gave you a little bit more information about events of 1924 and some things that Echevarria had said to him in private. You managed to discover that parts of the collection that Echevarria had, his book collection, was purchased by George Ayres. You've got that list. And another part of the collection was purchased by one Samuel Trammell. Trammell. Is it Samuel Trammell? Seems like a bit of a certainly he's called Trammell. Samson Trammell. Yeah, Samson Trammell. But you've also discovered as well that the thing that was referenced in the accounting books as N is some kind of drug called nectar. And so as we arrive back at the Beverly Hills Hotel about 5:45 in the evening, Sorentar disappears. I think he's having trouble.
Yeah.
What do you wish to do?
Well, we can't go anywhere tonight to get film developed. There won't be a 24-hour chemist in this era.
Not in this era, no.
I think we put a chair in front of the doors, jam it up against the handle, and have a good night's sleep. Especially after what happened last time, where you found your note in your room.
Yeah, we've not encountered anyone trying to scare us off yet, have we? In this
No, not here. No.
city. So we have spoke to quite a few people now, so
well, this is it.
Word's going to get about.
That Tremmel's bodyguard. He worries me.
Yeah, that's a good point. We think that's where the drugs are coming from, don't we?
Either he's in too deep with the wrong people, or or he's fully in with them on purpose.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. Locking up and
Yeah, you can protect your doorway. You can put chairs underneath them to keep yourself safe overnight.
make sure all the windows are locked.
Make sure all the windows are locked.
Well, it's quite warm. I was going to leave mine open.
Okay, well, when we hear you scream, we know that they're invading.
The cat bite that you have is a little bit sore, but it's kind of fading.
Yeah,
You okay there, Mr. Sorrentine?
Yep. Just having a bit of trouble with the video, but it's fine.
Cool.
Has something changed with Foundry? Because the character sheets don't pop out anymore.
No, I've turned pop out off because it wasn't working for these particular character sheets, unfortunately.
I've been using them every week.
Have you been using it every week?
I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah,
I use Edge.
I couldn't get pop out in this.
That's weird.
Used pop out in D&D, but I could never get it to work in this one.
Yeah, it wasn't working properly. I'll retest it for next session because it might have had an update that's fixed it, but yeah.
Yeah, I've always been using it.
Very strange.
I use Edge as a default browser, which
That might be it. It might be working on Edge and not on something else.
No, I use Edge.
Okay. All right. So turn that down a little bit because the music is quite loud. What are your plans for the following day? What will actually be? I think day
7, wasn't it?
Day 7. Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Is it? Checking the date. Is it Wednesday, the 11th of November?
It will be tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be finding the nearest place to develop film.
Yeah. You took photos of the farm, right?
Yeah, the farm, the stones that were dotted around. We took a couple of the stones, I think. I don't think I took anything else, did I?
Yeah. So, are there any other clues that you want to trace, follow up, investigate?
Well, if I can get, how long does it take to develop, roughly at the time?
Um,
Well, I would assume they wouldn't let me do it. It'll be a backlog type thing, or whoever.
It doesn't take that long. About 8 hours.
Right. Okay.
No. Ignore that. That was 1826. So it's about 15 minutes. So in reality, I would say you'd probably get it on same day.
Right. Okay.
You could expedite same day, or you could do standard sort of 24, 48 hour, 2 days kind of thing.
Okay. I was just thinking if it was quick or I could do it, then we could use the actual photographs when we go to the library as a lookup type thing. But in the meantime,
do you have? You see, you've got a camera, but you don't necessarily have a full red room, right?
Yeah.
So I would say you don't have the equipment to do it yourself here.
That might be something to get at some point, or get things that I can make a room.
Ralph, sort of as the night passes, there's a couple of things that kind of, something that kind of nags at you at the back of your head. Taking another look at George Eyre's kind of address book, you notice that now you've got a few more names. You notice in that address book that Samson Trammell is listed, as is Echevarria.
Okay. Are they at different addresses than we've already got?
You've got the Echevarria address. There is no address listed. Oh no, there is an address listed for
Yeah, there's an
Trammell.
address, no phone number. Because I
No
asked that
phone
last
number.
time.
Yeah, because the Samson Trammell was in Pasadena, wasn't he?
Correct. Yeah.
Because we've been to his gaff.
Yeah, because we were looking for the phone number to try and make an appointment at one point, and I looked in the book, but didn't have the number.
And you also recall when you met and spoke to Olivia, she told you that she believed that Ayres was part of Echevarria's inner circle, and that included, from her perspective, she always thought that was Echevarria, Ayres, and Trammell.
Yeah, I've got that note somewhere.
Yeah, Buckwell said Trammell was an odd one, trusted in a circle, creepy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but he's a maths professor, but never worked at the university, has he?
Who? Trammell?
Yeah. We couldn't find him on anything when we looked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he was a maths professor.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Yeah.
Unless I misled you somewhere, I don't believe I've given you any information to suggest he was a maths professor.
Wasn't he Jobs' professor?
Nope.
No. And we checked that out. We got a phone call when we got back to the hotel to say that he's never been there.
Yeah, you checked. Right. Trammell's never been there. You didn't actually ask who Jobs' professor was.
No, I think it was after seeing Jobs that we heard about a maths professor. It was probably from the actress. And we never got a name. So that's when we started inquiring. And we thought that the maths professor was sort of like the inner circle and therefore probably linked it to Trammell, but I don't think we've ever got a name of this maths professor.
No, we never did. No.
Well, the night rolls through midnight and then through to sort of 8 a.m. the following day. No rattles at the door, no disturbances, no nothing to cause you any grief.
I will set my alarm for earlier. I'll set my alarm for 6 so that I can go down for breakfast early.
Okay.
And then get out to the library so that I'm there as soon as it opens.
Okay, library will probably open at 9 a.m, but not a problem. You can be at the library. So, Ralph goes to the library. Alfred, you're going over to get your photographs developed.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to go with Alfred because I know that possibly he might. Well, I don't know. Just to back him up, basically, there may be some difficulties. I can't get the words out. Difficulties.
I'll say to Alfred as soon as you can get those pictures of what I'll have done the previous night is I don't know if he'll have something to look at the negatives.
Well, we've got a couple of the stones, so you could take.
I would. Yeah, I would. So, give me a point in a point. So everybody can have a normal 24-hour rest, like an overnight rest. So you can select that on your characters. Doesn't actually do much for you. I think it might give you a few hit points. Hit points back. But other than that, it doesn't do a huge amount for you.
I do think the other thing we discussed last week was opening up a deposit box.
Yeah.
And while I'll go with Alfred for the negatives. Sorry, Alfred for the negatives. And while then he's developing them, I will go to the nearest reputable bank to see about opening a security box with the three of us. Yeah, for the three of us.
Okay. All right. So let's do this quite simply because it'd be good to kind of bring you to the conclusion of LA towards the end of tonight if we can.
Yeah, we're splitting the party as.
Yeah, no, that's
Towards the
fine.
end of it.
Okay, so the question is, do you have kit beyond just a camera with you? So, Alfred, spend a point of preparedness, and you can have portable photography equipment, such as the lens that you can use to study, some basic stuff to look at negatives before you've processed them and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
And that.
Unless you want me to spend that, because
I've still got another 2 points of preparedness left.
yeah, I've not used any of mine, so.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So what I'll have done the night before is taken a couple of hours examining those pictures of the stones and making sketches of them.
Okay.
So that I can go to the library early, and I'll have noted, where they come from, because one of them was Celtic, one of them was the yada yada yada, and whatever information I can pull off, just as a rough idea. That'll give me some fuel to go to the library, start pulling texts out, and then if Alfred can then bring the photos, just in case my sketches aren't very good.
Okay.
Don't lay them out in a circle just in case you summon something. With
I will try not to. I know. I will stay away from speaking Latin.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be honest,
Bear with me 30 seconds. I'm just looking for something really quickly. Okay. Joseph, spend a point of credit, please.
Certainly.
Do you wish? Yeah. Okay. So you can find. You got a choice. You can find a national bank, or you can find a more local Los Angeles bank. But either of those, you can certainly get a deposit box secured and signable by any one of the three of you so named.
Fantastic. I'd rather go for national than local, purely for the fact that I know nationals won't go down.
Yeah. Okay.
He says looking forward into the future.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna zoom in and focus on Ralph. You head out to the library. The traffic is pretty bad, and there's no sort of immediate parking, sort of immediately outside of the library. And you're dropped off about a block away. You kind of walk over to the library and you kind of sit and wait. You're a little bit early, probably half an hour or so early for the library to open. You wait, and then the doors open. You head in, and you immediately kind of go looking for the folklore, myths, and history sections to try and start to piece these things together. These are in kind of a quiet part of the library, sort of a quiet corner, slightly darker, a little bit dark. There are a couple of lights, but nothing major. You're in there about 45 or so minutes when you feel a presence behind you.
I'll look over my shoulder and then am I sat down, or
you are sat down with a sort of at a desk in this corner, in this kind of mythology section, with a stack of books that you've pulled out that you think might be able to help you, a reading lamp. There's like a couple of reading lamps, one either side of the desk at opposite angles, so you could have a person sat either side of you. There's nobody else in this section.
What I'll do is just pull my pocket watch out.
Yeah.
And then look in the reflection, see if I can see anybody behind me.
Okay. So behind you, you can see, very briefly at least, you see
Creature with 1,000 mouths.
this gentleman. The next thing you see is what looks like a sap or a blackjack coming crashing down on the back of your head. And you are kind of slammed forwards into the desk. Your nose kind of impacts the desk. You feel it a little bit kind of crush. And then you hear this kind of gruff voice. And the voice says to you, "What the hell you think you're doing in Los Angeles, huh? Go home. This is your one and only warning." And he cracks you again. And you black out.
Bit harsh. He's obviously a bit he's obviously a bit tetchy, this fucker.
I've got your books not returned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're getting...
I'd like you to take 5 points of damage.
I'd rather not.
That's new. It says Games Master privately rolls some dice.
Yeah.
We never used to get to see that.
Well, you've not seen me roll any dice for. I don't think I've actually rolled any dice yet this whole campaign. As you kind of black out, kind of like, what the hell you doing in Los Angeles? Crack. You're kind of stunned and dazed. Your nose, you can feel the blood trickling out of your nose. The lights are starting to spin in your head. Crack again. Go back home where you belong. Forget about 24. And that's all you hear as the blackness descends on you. The next thing you know, you're being kind of violently awoken by that harsh, bitter aroma of smelling salts. And there is one of the lady librarians is kind of waving this under your nose and yelling, call a doctor, this man's hurt."
Where did he go?
Where did who go, sir? No, stay still. You might have a broken nose.
Possibly. There was a man that attacked me.
I didn't see anything. I'm sorry, sir. I was just stacking some books, and I found you slumped on your own. You sure you didn't pass out over something? Those books can be a little bit scary.
This is my job. They don't scare me, but
she holds out another. She kind of holds out another wad of tissue or something.
Yeah, I'll hold it to my nose and sort of like pull it together a little bit.
Yeah.
Could you call the police, please?
They're on the way. Yeah. She wouldn't have called them. Yes, I can, absolutely.
Then I will.
Nancy, call the police.
I will start to draw.
Yes, Barbara.
Start to draw that I can remember that guy's face.
Okay.
That I saw.
Right.
We'll spend a point in something. If it
yeah.
helps.
I was just looking for a character sheet.
Art history?
Give me a point in art. Yeah, spend a point in art history, please. Although I think...
Not sure if there's another one, to be honest with you.
See, I think in technical there is an actual art skill.
Oh, is there? Right.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I've got the art skill.
Have you got the art skill? Okay. Is that in technical?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you a point of art history. It's... You do your best.
It's under academic.
It's under academic, is it?
No, art history. I can't see one for art.
Yeah.
No,
Art.
I
No,
haven't
you
got it,
don't
so-
have it. Yeah.
You've not
Yeah,
got
no,
anything. You've not got anything on your sheet that you don't have a point in. So.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at edit, and it's not listed at all. on
Yeah,
mine.
so I think that's because art is a specific Trail of Cthulhu skill, and the character sheet we're using covers the whole of the Gumshoe system. So there's about 6 different settings that it covers.
Right. Okay.
Okay. When you kind of look at your pocket watch, because it's kind of still out on the desk from where you had it in your hand to try and get the reflection, you realise you've been out for about 35-40 minutes.
Okay.
After go back to Alfred, if you want to expedite the photographs, you need to spend a credit point. Don't forget, you do have your specific pool of points that represent your expenses that you could spend it from if you wish.
Yeah, I'll knock that down to 1.
Got it. Okay. It will take you you get there for for 9, and the gentleman there tells you that he can expedite it, but it'll take about 10:30 before he can have them ready.
Okay.
So it will be about 11 o'clock before you can make it to the library.
Right. Okay.
In the meantime, Joseph, you arrive at the bank at 9 o'clock opening, and you can very quickly get your box sorted out. You can show your credentials and mention who you bank with and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't take long for you to get a
safe deposit box. Yeah, put
a safe deposit. Yeah. Let's have a look. 1 second. Just have a look. I just want to see if I can find a list of. You can basically. Oh no! Bank of the United States failed in 1931. You can find a national bank. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Have a look.
Good old savings and loans.
Yeah. You can. Yeah. Exactly. All right. By the time you get back to the photographer, Alfred is sat waiting patiently for his things to be done. Ralph, we wind up to about 10:30, and an individual is wearing plain clothes more than anything. He's a youngish chap, sort of in his late 20s, early 30s. And he kind of comes into the bank, and you can hear him talking to one of the ladies, and she brings him over, and he looks at you. By now you've got like a cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is you want on the desk, and the ladies are very, very apologetic. The library itself has actually been closed while the matter is dealt with. One of the ladies is already kind of cleaning the mess up off the table and trying to kind of get the stain out of the wood and making sure none of the books have got damaged. And this individual...
that would have been one of my first concerns, by the way.
Yeah.
I would have cleared the books away and made sure. And
is this individual... Captain Walker, the police were called, I understand. There's been an incident.
Talking directly to me or to one of the women?
Just generally to the two of you.
I'll hold my hand up and I asked for you to be called. With
So,
one hand up and one hand still on the paper that's at my nose.
and what seems to be the problem, sir? Other than you seem to have taken a blow to the nose.
It was the blow to the back of my head with a blackjack that was the problem. I was assaulted by that's as good as I can do. This gentleman who just came up and hit me across the back of the head twice. I don't think I've had anything taken.
Well, he takes a look at the picture. He says, okay, perhaps we could get you down to the station. One of our artists would maybe be able to take a description and draw a sketch. Nothing wrong with this sketch, sir, but while it's still fresh in your memory, perhaps a second pair of eyes and a steady hand to draw whatever it is you can remember might not be a bad idea. Because
yes.
frankly, sir, this could be one of thousands of people here in the city.
Oh, indeed. Yes, I don't mind with that. My concern is that this gentleman is randomly going around attacking library goers. If he's not stolen anything, he's not theft, then I have no idea. He's clearly psychotic.
You have a quick glance at the books and things, and there's still the 7 volumes that you'd pulled out, neatly stacked, 6 neatly stacked, the one that you just started to pore over. Even your drawings in your book are still there. It's not like they've been ripped out or anything.
Yeah.
So everything accountable, sir? Your wallet, your...
Absolutely. Nothing taken.
I was going to say your phone then, but 1920, 1930, you didn't have one.
Unless I'm a time traveller.
A time traveller, yeah.
We'll have a really long cord.
Yeah, a very long cord. Goes to a central switchboard somewhere in there. Yeah. And your name is, sir?
Ralph Haas.
Mr. Haas. Well, first of all, on behalf of the Los Angeles Police Department, I make an apology for this incident. I have had no other reports or heard of no other reports of library goers being accosted such as this, so this seems to be a strange one.
I would certainly want to be the first and last.
Indeed, and I strongly recommend that you get yourself some medical attention to make sure there's no lasting damage to your head there, sir. It does look a little bit nasty. So perhaps, Mr. Haas, where do you live locally?
I'm from New York. I'm staying fairly locally. So yeah, I could come to the station if you.
Well, what I was thinking, Mr. Haas, is perhaps we could send a car this afternoon to wherever you're staying, give you time to freshen up and clean up. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to be. And he kind of fumbles a little bit for words as he kind of gestures to you. Say 2:00 this afternoon.
2:00. Yes, I should. What time was it now? Just gone 10.
It's about 10:41 in the morning. Yeah.
So 3 hours, 2 hours. Yeah, I should be able to make it back, and I'll give him the address to the hotel.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, I will make sure I'll put a note in at the desk and have you escorted up to my office. I am, as I say, I'm Captain
Walker, was it?
Captain Walker, yes. 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 Well, I'll have one of our sketch artists waiting for you, and perhaps we can go through the whole incident. And again, as I say, I'm very sorry for this happening to you, sir.
Nothing you can do about it. You can't control everybody in Los Angeles.
This is true, and we do try our best to not have library goers getting accosted. It's not a pleasant thing. Well, ladies, I think it's safe to. I'll do a quick sweep of the building to make sure this individual perhaps isn't still here, and then I think it'll be safe for you to open the library back up.
just to clarify, that was that him, his artist coming to me, or was that me going to the station?
You go to the station to give
Yeah,
a statement,
at 2.
and
Right, yeah, fine.
he'll have a car pick you. Okay.
But if it's a car to pick me up, it can be from here, if he wants, because I plan to be researching still.
Okay, even though you're a bit blooded.
Absolutely, I'll go to a washroom. I'll clean myself up.
Okay. Okay, no problem. He will arrange for the car to pick you up at 2:00 here. He takes a sweep of the building. The sweep takes sort of 10 or so minutes, and Alfred Joseph, you arrive just after 11. Bundle of freshly dried photographs in an envelope. The negatives all ready for you to study as well. There seems to be a bit of a commotion. There are 2 police officers on guard at the library entrance, stopping people from entering.
Okay.
Hello, Michael. What's going on?
Good morning, sir. Unfortunately, the library is closed until further notice. There's been an incident, sir.
Really? One of our colleagues isn't there.
Well, there is only the person left in there and the staff that the incident, who was involved in the incident. Well, perhaps your colleague is, and he gestures to there's the odd knots of people here and there, kind of muttering amongst themselves and kind of waiting to get into the library.
Can you confirm? Do you know the name of the person that's in the library?
No,
Do
unfortunately,
I give you his name?
That would be my captain who would know that.
And he is worth?
The door opens and this individual here kind of walks out, putting his hat on, and he says, my Captain Walker's here, sir. Captain, these individuals are asking some questions about the incident. Are they indeed? And he strides forwards. Gentlemen, Walker, I'm the attending officer here.
Our friends, we think our friends inside. I can't see him out here as I look around. Please, what's happening?
Someone called Ralph Haas is not involved in whatever you're investigating.
Well, what I can confirm is that Mr. Haas is safe and well, though a little bit blooded. And he will be coming down to the station this afternoon to spend some time with one of our sketch artists to understand what's actually, if we can work out who might have done this.
What's happened?
What?
Can we see him?
Seems that yes, absolutely. I'm just coming to let the officers know that the library can be reopened. It would appear that he has taken a blow to the head from some unknown assailant.
I'll look around and see if anyone seems to be paying interest in what's going on, apart from the crowd that's nearby, like across the street type thing.
All right. Are you going to spend any points in anything?
Is it an observation type of skill?
Just having a look.
I've got sense trouble or streetwise.
Give me a point of streetwise. You watch as from maybe a quarter of a block away, a car seems to come out and drive quite slowly past. You can see a man in a hat, kind of with his head turned, looking towards the front of the library.
Okay, I'll try and make out the face and memorize it if I can, and as the car goes past, take a look at if there's a number plate on there.
Yeah, there is a number plate.
I'll turn to the captain saying, that car seems to be taking a keen interest in what's going on here. Is there any way you can figure out? I suspect involved.
He looks at one of the officers. Gentlemen, officers, please see if you can track that car down. Very good, sir. And you watch them as they kind of rush off to the parked police car that is parked outside the library. They get in it, and you can watch as it kind of drives. Lights going as they head off.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I will. I need to head back to my back to the station, but yeah, the library is clear, and you're free to enter. Good day, gentlemen.
Yeah. Head in and see if we can find Ralph.
Yes, indeed.
Ralph appears to be at one of the darker corners of the library, in the mythology, ancient history, folklore kind of areas. You know, sort of that kind of area. Mostly, though, he's in the he's in the folklore and mythology section. Sat at a desk. There's a wastebasket near him with a couple of piles of bloody rag inside it.
I'd like to step forward up to Ralph and say, "Can I check you over, Ralph?"
As he turns,
Hey, how you doing?
He's got what appears to be a maybe broken, but certainly bloody nose, and what looks like at least one shiner starting to appear.
Oh.
And a bit of a lump on the back of his head.
Yeah. So I'll check him over using my first aid. Do you want me to spend a point?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. Ultimately,
concussion's a funny thing. Ralph.
Yeah, I'm aware of concussions.
Or shell shock, shall I say?
There doesn't appear to be any lasting damage. The nose is not broken, but certainly badly bruised. At least one of his eyes will be black, certainly by tomorrow. And there is a very large egg-shaped lump right about here on his head where something has hit him quite hard. Other than that, he can count the number of fingers you're holding up. When you hold your finger up at his eyes can focus. So he doesn't seem to have any, vision impairedness or memory impairedness.
This lump on the back of his head, can I use my medical skills to drill a hole in the back of his head to release the demons?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you can use them to also drive an ice pick through his eye if you wish.
Oh yes,
just to calm him down.
Modern science.
Exactly.
I'll take a look around the area behind him to see if the assailants dropped anything.
Doesn't
I
appear
doubt
to.
it, but
No.
I got a rough sketch of the guy, chaps.
can I see it?
Yeah, it's there.
Does it look like the guy that drove past?
If you squint slightly, yes.
It's a
Enough.
likeness.
It's enough to. I can't see that because it disappears, Mehdi. Yeah. In terms of a likeness of the individual you saw in the car, it could be the same person, sure.
See, I've got no skills in artistry, so I can't actually make any adjustments. So I was saying that, that guy was checking out the library when we came in, drove past. I've sent a couple of police officers after the car, so we'll see what turns up.
Did you get his registration?
Yeah.
Well, interesting. I've got to go and see a police artist at 2, but I figured they're picking me up at 2:00, so I figured that they could pick me up here and I could continue with this research. But yeah, the chap basically just came up behind me, whacked me over the head, asked me what I was doing in LA and that I should go back to where I came from and forget what happened in 24. So they've obviously stepped up their the level of their persuasion.
So that's 3 now. There's trying to run us off the road with a car, which failed. Warning under the door, which I wish he'd have come in now. We'd have had someone's question then. And now this person, we definitely need to start sticking together, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, Joseph, but you're next, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Unless you were the first one that we managed to scare off. But either way, you're next again anyway, because we'll say that the first one was after Margaret.
Yeah, I was going to say the first one was Margaret, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think I shall have to carry a bit more protection in future?
Either that or he's already had his go with the cat.
Damn feline people. Is there a way we can assist you with your work while we're here? Alfred has the pictures you were looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be much. I'm working off my copies here, but yeah, they may help.
No offense, but going off your sketch of your assailant, these are going to be better.
I think
I'm not an artist. I can't draw people. I can draw symbols though.
Because I've seen the
toy
person and your picture, I can see a resemblance, but yeah, it's not going to. Probably not going to find the person of you. Number plate might though. This was the number plate of the car for when he goes to the station. So hopefully the police car would have caught up to them.
Okay.
Feeling out of place, I'm going to keep an eye out behind while these two work.
I'm assuming I can use library use, possibly occult or history combined in this research.
Absolutely. You just need to just make one spend from one of those, and I'll let you know what you discover.
We'll go down the occult route, seeing as though it's in that field.
Okay. So the stones are a bit of a mishmash, and kind of confirm your initial thoughts when you first saw them. There is no single cultural representation, but many cultures. Of the stones that Alfred was able to capture clearly in his photography, there are at least 6 distinct types of culture and kind of references. You've got a set of sort of Asian symbols representing the they all seem to be of a similar theme, and that is containment of one thing or another. But you've got sort of Asian symbols, African symbols, specifically sort of in the central Ethiopian Axum kind of region. There seems to be a symbol that you really struggle to pinpoint. It looks very much like ancient European, but there's one that's obviously Celtic in nature, and the Celtic flavour.
Was that Welsh? That one.
So, well, This one is definitely Celtic. Could be Welsh. Could also be Scottish. But based on what you're seeing, you're erring more to the Welsh, to the ancient Welsh peoples. But there's another similar one, but it's slightly different. The best that you can come up with for that one suggests that it is some kind of reference to Hagar Quim. Hagarqim.
We all like a good quim, don't we?
Hagar Quim is not well researched. The only place you can find any material suggests it belongs to the prehistoric communities of Malta.
Okay, so amongst these, they were all about containment.
Correct.
Was there any, knowing where their route is and possible language routes, I want to see if there's any particular, anything that ties them together in what they're made to contain. Are they generic, or I'm assuming a containment would have to say what it's trying to contain?
These are very generic.
Right,
If there
okay.
was any reference to what they were containing, it isn't been captured in photograph.
Okay.
There was something on the beam of wood, wasn't there? Wasn't there a
Yes.
symbol on that? Does that give it any more clarification? Because that wouldn't have been one of the containment stones. That would have been something else.
It gives you Middle Eastern, African, and Asian summoning symbols.
Okay. So the stones were to contain whatever summoned on the middle?
Yes.
But there's nothing to indicate what was being summoned.
Again, their general. So, from an occult perspective, you believe that if such things were real, that people would view these symbols as a way to empower some kind of summoning.
Yeah, okay. So the summoner would evoke the name of whatever they're trying to summon, I assume.
Yes.
The only location really we've got linked is the Ethiopia, isn't it? The big
Yeah, that was on
Dalal in Ethiopia.
the travel plans. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Bartolo and no, it wasn't Ecavaria, it was what's his name? Yeah, yes, that's the one.
I think that might be our next stop.
Yeah, well, we need to get permission from our benefactor.
I do believe our first stop would be to see Janet.
I was going to say we need to give her an update anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a little bit outside of what she thought it was going to be.
Which would mean we'd be flying back to the East Coast because
Yeah.
we'd be heading east. So we'd fly back to the East Coast, talk to Janet. If she gives us the go ahead, then we'll be flying across the Atlantic with whatever stops, and then down to Africa. I would have thought.
At which point I'll bring up the fact that I've arranged for a secure box here. Do we need it still?
If we're leaving, I'm assuming we're going to take everything that we have with us.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because we know that security on a safe deposit box isn't that great.
Nah. Either the bank can go under, or it just takes a bribe. You can get the contents for whatever you want.
So by now, after you've done that additional research, it's getting on for about 1:30 in the afternoon.
Well, if you guys want to take this stuff back,
Yeah.
I
was going to say, do you want us to accompany you, or
yeah, it's up to you. What were we planning to do after this?
I'd rather stay with you to make sure you're okay.
Okay. But we could quickly. We've got 30 minutes. They're picking me up from outside. Did you spot anywhere
to eat?
To grab anything quickly to eat?
I was just thinking that.
There would be a couple of
because I've had a couple of cups of coffee and some biscuits that the ladies brought me, but
yeah, I'm sure we can find something.
Yeah, let's pop across the road and get something.
Hot dog stand or something at the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find somewhere to have a quick bite to eat for the next 30 minutes, where it gives you kind of view of the library, and sure enough, as it almost bang on. Maybe a couple of minutes past 2:00, a police car pulls up out front, and an officer kind of gets out the passenger side quite smartly in his uniform and kind of heads up into the library. After a couple more minutes, he kind of comes out and just kind of scratches his head and starts looking around the street.
We'll go over and wave him over.
Ah, Mr. Haas.
Yes. You're taking me to the station, I believe?
Yes, Officer Hanson, and my companion, my partner here is Officer Stewart. Yes, Captain Walker has suggested that we pick you up and take you to the station. Is it just yourself or are your companions joining you?
My companions are joining me, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, those safety in numbers. It doesn't want going around assaulting.
Okay, he squeezes into the back of the police car, driven probably a couple of miles downtown to one of the main precincts, and they take you into the back and through the back door and up through sort of a third floor office, where you can see Captain Walker, Vice. Officer Hanson knocks on the door. Vice, yeah. Officer Hanson knocks on the door, and Mr. Haas. Please.
Captain Walker.
And these two gentlemen are?
My associates, friends.
Very good, very good. Please come in. Officer Hanson, could you please get Donald in? Tell him to bring his sketchbook. I think we can get to business pretty quickly. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, and he points to a sofa that's sat in, against one of the walls near where the window is. It kind of a door, double window, sofa under the window, a couple of filing cabinets, his desk, another window behind him, and a couple of chairs in front of his desk. After a couple of minutes, Donald wanders in, a big sketchbook, some pencils. He sits down on one of the chairs, and Ralph, you're beckoned to the other chair.
Okay, I'll bob over and...
Captain, did your officers manage to catch up with the car that I pointed out outside?
Well, they had a very good... Yes, unfortunately not. They lost it about 7 blocks down.
Okay, because the person that
Whoever
I saw
was...
in the driving has a strong resemblance to Ralph's sketch.
That's very interesting. Yes, the car, it would seem, is a rental. So, we've put out some feelers to I've sent a couple of officers to the rentals nearby, trying to see if we can discover who might have rented the car, but unfortunately it was lost in the traffic.
This kind of indicates that this was a targeted attack, though. They were watching afterwards.
Well, gentlemen, I guess that's what we're here to find out. Are you doing something that the police should know about?
You mean illegal? No.
In fact, maybe that's something where we can start, gentlemen. Why are you here in Los Angeles?
We've been tasked by a very dear friend of mine to look into her father's final days.
Sorry, Vice isn't above his door. Ignore that. I misread something.
It's mice.
No, it's just that there's no designation for what he does. It's just a generic Captain Walker, or So you say, and this thing that you're investigating, is it legal? Illegal?
We have no idea. We are just we're pulling at threads to see what we can find out.
Well, it's clear that you pulled one thread too many, and your associate here, Mr. Haas, obviously bore the brunt of that thread that you pulled. Have you had any untoward altercations with people in the past couple? How long have you been here in Los Angeles?
Oh, a couple of days, a few days.
Have you had any untoward, antagonistic conversations or run-ins with any of Los Angeles' underworld?
No, not one moment. I mean, the only worrying thing that I had was when we went to go see a certain Mr. Trummel, and his doorman seemed quite aggressive, but large Mexican fellow, if memory serves. We never got to see Mr. Trummel, but
Mr.
it would have
Trammell, and
Just
who
told
is-
us we had to make an appointment and we left. There was no.
Okay, Mr. Trammell. And he starts writing some notes down. Do you know where this Mr. Trammell can be found? Perhaps I can go out and have a chat to see if perhaps he was behind your friend's assault.
Well,
Get the address.
The address. If you can get and see him, please take us with you.
Well, I don't think I could do that, gentlemen. You're not obviously official police officers, so
Maybe not. Yeah.
I don't think that would be appropriate. Do you, Donald? Please. Yes, Captain. Mr. Haas, if I may, could you start with the face?
Of course. Yeah, and I will describe.
Only
face.
For the next sort of probably the next half an hour or so, he goes through and starts sketching, and probably a little bit longer than that. So kind of 3 o'clock rolls by, and he finally kind of turns a picture and he shows it to you. Is this the gentleman that you saw?
I'm assuming it's closer than my sketch.
Closer than your sketch.
Yeah.
And
did he have an accent, by the way?
Los Angeles.
Oh, he was from LA, right? Okay.
Yeah. And about 90% on the person that Alfred saw.
Okay. That does look very similar to the person that was in the car.
You've described the hat, face, Okay. Well, we can drop the sketch, and I can send it to patrol officers, and we can see if we can locate him.
I would treat him as dangerous.
Do me a favour. Is there a desk in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will hold up. Alfred, could you just stand behind me, and I will hold up my watch and look in it exactly as I was before. And he had to have been within arm rate.
Yeah.
To have hit me. So if you stand about arms distance, if you look up, stand about arms distance behind me.
Okay.
And I'll put my hand exactly as it was. And if Alfred is lower down or higher up, it'll be an indicator of the height of the gentleman.
Yeah. So Alfred is slightly higher up.
Okay, so he's closer in,
So
he's taller.
You can see sort of from the nose downwards, whereas you could see this man's face and the brim of his hat.
Okay, so this guy was slightly smaller than Alfred, however.
Yeah.
And we can look at where the actual bruise is as to whether he was left or right-handed.
Yeah, probably.
Right-handed.
Oh, I felt we indicated where it came from.
Yeah.
What? It would be right-handed.
Yeah, so we've got.
At which point the police officer going, where the fuck did these guys come from?
Alfred's an ex-cop, remember? So
Yeah.
You know.
So it makes sense to me.
I'm an antiquarian.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think I've got all the information I need. I can have Officer Hanson show you back out. We can arrange a taxi to take you to wherever you wish to go.
Back to the Beverly Hills, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Idea.
Very good. Very good, gentlemen. Okay. Sure enough. 10 minutes or so.
Sorry, before we go, I'll give Captain Walker my contact details. If he can send any information he finds out to us, that'd be wonderful.
Okay.
And if you need me for a lineup or anything, then just give us a call.
Mm-hmm. He nods. Thank you for your help. Taxi, drive back to Beverly Hills. Takes you probably an hour from where you are. By now, it's sort of. I mean, that's the problem, right? You know, from where you're staying to the various places you're going can take best part of a day to get there, do what you're doing, and get back again.
Yeah.
That's why 7-8 days in Los Angeles, it seems like a long time, but in reality, you're only able to really focus on one, possibly two things if they're close together.
Yeah, it's not like the cars can go 60 miles an hour.
Finding this guy is going to be a needle in a haystack, considering they're following us all over the place.
But it's also nice to put the feelers out onto Trouble as well.
Yeah.
See what turns up there.
The thing is, they may be following us, but it may not have been these guys that followed us. So they'll have called ahead, found out we were going to LA, and called Trammell or whatever and said, "Listen, you need to stop these guys."
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll follow the lead of the rental car and find out it was Donald Duck that rented it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind keeping these rooms or these bungalows open for the next 3 days, even if we're leaving now, so it still looks like we're still here.
Yeah. Good idea.
As you get dropped off and you walk into the foyer, Mr. Westmore, sir.
Yes.
The hotel manager would like a moment of your time, please.
Certainly.
Follow me. Gentlemen, if you could just wait here. And as he does that, he clicks his fingers and a couple of the security guards kind of step up and interpose themselves between Ralph and Alfred and the rest of the hotel. Using their body, they kind of step in such a way that you have no choice but to go backwards until you're into the little seated area where you find yourself seated.
Assuming that we actually back up rather than just stand our ground while they're walking.
Yeah. They will walk into you.
Ralph very much backs up and
Yeah.
looks
I'm
looks
tempted
looks
to just hold my ground. It's like we've just been with the police regarding an assault, and you want to split us up.
Yeah, but, you may get thrown out. So,
Okay.
where's the bar?
They're not letting you anywhere near the bar. They're making you sit in the waiting area.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Glancing around as well, you notice that your belongings are in a trolley.
Mother.
As you are taken into the manager's office. Mr. Westmore, please take a seat.
What, may I ask, is the meaning of this?
Well, unfortunately, sir, company policy and all, I'm terminating your stay with immediate effect.
And on what grounds?
As you know, the clientele here pay for discretion, and they pay for as much anonymity as they can possibly get. And having Vice Squad raid several of our bungalows and discovering substances that they should not have discovered puts some of our guests in a more...
Sorry, what has this to do with us?
Well, it was your bungalows that Vice Squad raided, sir, and they assure me, and he slides a piece of paper over, assure me that they found several things that, as a policy, the hotel does not encourage guests from having. And you can see it lists firearm,
I have a license for that.
ammunition, 4 vials of nectar.
Oh,
We haven't got any nectar.
no, we had the broken vials, didn't we? Which didn't one of them contain a small sample?
Don't know. Firearms I've got on me. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, I have one.
Now,
Well,
sir,
I wonder when this was done.
I'd like to know what nectar is, though.
these firearms, the firearms are minor indiscretion. We don't dissuade guests from having them, though we would normally insist, if we know that you're carrying them, that you would register them with the desk and place them in the locker. The indiscretion that we are a little bit more concerned about is not even necessarily the presence of nectar, though.
Could you actually tell me what nectar is? We actually found this while researching some things.
Well,
You seem to know what it is. You've called it nectar.
Well, it's listed here. 4 complete vials of nectar. Street value, $240.
So you don't actually know what nectar is?
Well, I've heard of it, sir. It's an up-and-coming drug on the street. Well, I say up-and-coming. It's been present in Los Angeles for several years. I do know that some of our more expensive guests do occasionally discretion. They do occasionally have such items delivered to them. And again, sir, Mr. Westmore, please understand, it is not the presence of the drugs or the firearms, sir, but it's the fact that you were raided by Vice that is causing me to terminate your stay with us, sir. We cannot afford the police to be poking too much into the hotel's business. More importantly,
I do totally understand. I mean, this all comes down to my friend being assaulted by somebody and us contacting the police.
No, it's not.
Interesting.
So it seems like somebody is out to frame us for something that we haven't done, or to cause as much disruption to our investigations. But this is none of your really concern, to be fair. But I thank you for the information you've given me.
We've taken the liberty to pack up your things, sir.
Is everything there?
Absolutely, sir. We've double-checked the rooms and everything. We cannot find anything that is not hotel property remaining in those rooms.
Damn, those towels.
Oh, Oh, we need to look through our belongings to see if anything's missing.
Did the police confiscate anything?
They confiscated the nectar, as far as I'm aware, and they just noted that you had the firearms. They did say that they would speak to you regarding licenses to make sure that you were licensed to carry these. As I say, sir, if you go on to another hotel, which of course you are more than welcome to do, and we do thank you for your patronage and apologise for bringing it to an abrupt end. I suggest that you register such things with your front desk.
Certainly, thank you for your information there. It was very enlightening.
I can arrange for a taxi to take you to wherever you wish to go.
That'll be fine. We'll organise our own travel from here.
Thank you, sir, and please accept my sincere apologies again.
No, not a problem. I'm assuming that I will be allowed back in the future.
There is nothing to suggest, as long as you don't cause. I will see what I can do, sir. Though I would suggest discretion. You perhaps leave it a year.
Certainly. I mean, what I will say is the Westmores, we do have a very good time sometimes, and we also like to pay our friends dearly.
Well, that's good to hear, sir. Now, if you don't mind, I have other things to attend to.
Certainly. I'll clasp his hand and shake it.
And he shakes it warmly. And again, as you leave, again, he apologises, but, hotel...
He's between a rock and a hard place, yeah.
And so the rest of you two, you've kind of been sat there for sort of 10 minutes, wondering what the hell is going on. You see Westmore, Joseph comes walking out straight over to you.
Gentlemen, apparently we've been raided by the Vice for some strange reason. So there's something going on more to my eyes.
Did you get the name of the officer from Vice? That's
I didn't ask. I didn't need to ask. It would have been just generic.
Did they say when we got
Got
raided?
in touch with Captain Walker and find out if he knows anything about it.
That's a good point, that. At which point I will about face.
Ask when we were raided as well.
Yeah, was
How
it before the assault?
Before the assault, afterwards? So.
Yeah, I'll just knock on the door politely and pop my head through and say, sorry to disturb you again, but who was the officer in charge of the raid?
It was a Bobby Davis.
Bobby Davis. And what time did it happen?
About noon.
Oh, right. Thank you very much. And, yeah, take care. And with that, I'll go back and pay that forward. So it was about a Bobby Davis, and it was noon time? So that was when we were all at the library.
Yeah, we were still at the library then.
Be interesting to know if your sketch is this Bobby Davis. I'll start looking through my gear, see if anything's missing.
Nothing's missing.
Yeah, where's the box with the bits and pieces in?
There.
Well, all the useful bits and pieces were on me, so...
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and the photos we hadn't picked up yet, so they're okay.
The only thing that's missing are the broken vials. And the vial that wasn't quite broken that had a couple of bits of the liquid in it. They have gone.
It does mean that somebody went into the route. It was either planted by Vice, or somebody went in beforehand, planted it, and then called Vice.
Yeah, I think Vice planted it. I think this Bobby Davis might be linked with, or even the person that assaulted you. It's enough time to have got from when we last saw them at the library two here with some trumped up charges, and they've seen that we're not leaving because you called the police. It's been a waste of time and efforts to try and discredit us if we were going to leave.
Would you like to go see Captain Walker?
Call him, I suppose. Make a call.
We don't have Ralph's sketch, do we? Was that kept by the police?
That was kept by the proper one that they did, kept by the police.
But the one that Ralph's drew himself.
You still have it. Yeah, it's in his book.
Okay. Ask the manager if this was Bobby Davis.
No, sir, that was not Bobby. That was not the officer, the vice officer. But I did see him loitering around the reception area this morning, about 7 o'clock.
I would suggest you inform your security not to let him on property anymore. He's just assaulted our friend earlier on, and the police are investigating him.
Oh, okay. I will.
Might be worth informing the police as well. A Captain Walker.
Yeah, very well, sir. I will do that.
I'll throw some hazards their way.
Okay. All right. What do you want to do?
Okay, I don't want to show that we're going straight to the plane, so I'd like to get a taxi from here, a random taxi, to take us to the train station.
Okay.
While there, we will call our pilot, which was it Albert? I can't remember now. Gosh.
Oh, that's so long ago in the book.
It is, gosh.
It wasn't Albert. It was Keynes. Frank Keynes.
Keynes, that's right, Frank. Yes. Contact Frank, ask him to get the plane ready, and then we'll get a taxi from the station to the airport. It's a bit cloak and dagger, but I'd rather see if anybody's following us.
Okay.
And then we'll be going back to see Janet.
All right.
While also leaving a message, if possible, with Captain Walker to see why our bungalows were raided.
Aye.
On whose authority?
Yeah, by Bobby Davis.
Okay.
And point out that something was planted in our rooms, so they may want to get internal investigation affairs involved.
I don't think there was IA back then.
The man that assaulted me was with the police at that time.
No, he wasn't.
We'll
just say that.
All right, yeah.
I'll throw in some police terminology and things.
Okay. I mean, you've got cop talk, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can phrase the message to Captain Walker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're not going to loiter. You're not going to stay in Los Angeles, right? Long enough to get a response, I guess.
Well, I'd like to think it's going to get forwarded to. We'll put a forwarding a number on there, so it gets so maybe it can come to New York.
Okay.
And in fact, yes, if it can be forwarded to 3 different locations, it's like New York, Chicago, and I'm sure I must have somebody in San Francisco.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so if you can do that, if you just telegram to those 3 different locations.
Okay. All right. So you head over to the station. As far as you can tell, you are not followed.
Yeah, I've got shadowing. I don't think I've got the opposite. No, I've got disguise and shadowing.
Wouldn't shadowing also go the other way as well, or not?
Correct.
I'll keep an eye out for anyone following us.
Okay. Let me just double check. I will double check for you to see what you need.
No, there's a skill called anti-shadow.
Yeah, it's one of my occupational benefits. I spend points from disguise or shadowing after rolling the die for those tests. So I can increase it. If I fail, I can actually roll points afterwards.
What drive does Alfred have?
Me. As in kills a sanity type thing, or
No, you should have a drive. It should be under your character name.
background. Oh, drive. NUE.
Anyway, okay.
I'm not sure what that means, but
I'll tell you what it means. What it means. Give me a second.
feeling of listlessness and dissatisfaction arising
Correct.
from lack of occupation or excitement.
Yes. You've had one experience that you'll never get again, or perhaps you just read about such things in decadent yellowback novels. You've tried everything else and nothing matters. So what if it might kill you? So you're always trying to find that one thing that excites you, that gives you that buzz, that feeling. I'm going to invoke your drive. You don't want to leave Los Angeles with this mugger still at large, and you feel you need to try and figure out who it is and how they are related.
Okay.
It feels a bit like a buzz. It feels like, if Ralph has got beaten up, it feels like a bit of a chance for a bit of action, something that you've not had for a while. Certainly not since you really left the police, and definitely not since you spent your time on the front in the Great War.
We need to find out who this person is and send a message back to them that we're not people to master.
Are you sure?
Absolutely positive. We've been threatened 3 times, assaulted twice, or attempted at least one of them. They're not taking no for an answer. We need to stop them or put them on their guard. And any obstacles we can throw in the way, like Captain Walker, all the better. This person that assaulted Ralph has turned up too many times now.
I am going to give you a choice. So this is a hard driver. So you can choose to resist it, but if you do so, it will cost you 4 stability points. Or you can act on it. And in this one instance, if you choose to act on it, so if you don't act on it, so you ignore it and go with the group and you can't convince them, then it would effectively cost you 4 points of stability, no roll.
Okay.
If you act on it, you can refresh 2 points of your stability pool.
Okay.
If you've not lost any stability, it's kind of irrelevant, but I think everybody's lost some stability.
Yeah, I'm 1 down.
But yeah, you can refresh your stability pool.
Personally, I think that we need to get rid of him and find out what whoever's actually behind this has got a long reach.
Mm-hmm.
They've chased us too far. They're ahead of us. They know what we're doing when we're doing it. They've got a lot of power here. We need to hobble them somehow. If we can get this person, we can interrogate them. Turn the tables on them, find out who's behind it all. Maybe even get some more names.
I do like the cut of your jib, Alfred. I mean, yes, I'm not a fan of being ostracised out of a hotel that I have been to before, and my family have been to.
And actually, do you know what? I'm going to invoke the same hard driver on you, Joseph.
I knew you would.
Doesn't sound like I have to,
No.
but I'm going to invoke the same hard driver. And this is coming to you as you kind of board that second taxi and you're heading out to the airport. And as you watch the taller buildings of central Los Angeles kind of fade into the distance, the pair of you kind of look at each other and you start having this, and you look at Ralph and you look at his now glowing black eye and he's still slightly bleeding. He's got a tissue up his nose kind of thing. And you both kind of feel that, no, we're not
going to let us lie.
You don't want to run from this. You want to face this.
I've never been chased out of anywhere that I couldn't buy.
Hell,
No.
I didn't even want to be pushed back by those security guards.
No, there's something more to this. We need to find out why they raided us, who sent them to raid us, who was this man that attacked Ralph. And you're right, Alfred, we need to fix this in our own particular way.
Ralph?
Yes.
As they're kind of having this conversation, you realise that actually you really want to know why. Why? Why have you been brutalised? Why were you attacked? Why are you being discouraged from investigating the events of 1924? And I'm going to give you a soft driver on your thirst for knowledge.
Yeah, because I know most of that, to be honest with you. Like the why I've been attacked and stuff like that, because it's an ongoing theme. But yeah, I'd like to know more details about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it kind of gets in the way of my greater thirst for knowledge, which is finding out about all the interesting stuff that's overseas. But yeah, there is for sure. There's unfinished business.
Okay, so you're just clearing the city limits of Los Angeles.
Driver, take us to a not so pleasant hotel or boarding house or motel.
Are you
I wouldn't say not so pleasant. I don't want to get shot.
Yeah. Not so pleasant as how can I phrase this?
Is this in your terms? Is this in your terms?
This is my terms, yes.
Yeah. So
middle class.
That doesn't have a penthouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Downtown
or near the
airport? Let's go near the airport.
Okay.
Like a Holiday Inn type place.
A 1930s equivalent there. Yeah. Like a 1930s kind of motel. You've got it, yeah. Okay. He turns. Alfred, can you give me a shadowing roll? You may spend however many points from your shadowing pool you wish to apply to it.
With my
put 50 in.
Occupational benefits, I can roll after the fact anyway.
Okay.
You spend points from disguise after rolling die for the test. So I shall roll.
Oh, okay.
Got it. Needed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, are we being followed to make sure that we've
usually a success, isn't it? 4+.
Yes, but this is an opposed test.
Right, okay. In which case I can right, okay. This does not apply during contests, only when you're undisturbed and not in direct observation. So I don't think I can do it. Yeah.
Had you known that, would you have spent points?
Yes.
How many would you have spent?
2.
Okay, spend your 2 points then. So my cat that's been disappeared since 6 a.m. this morning is now on his pillow with his legs akimbo like this and his stomach in the air.
Staple him to the pillow.
As if there's nothing wrong. Okay, so your total would have been 7. As you say this, the driver immediately, you've got up ahead, you've got a junction coming up, and he immediately pulls out, turns, does a U-turn, drive off. And you watch Alfred as 2 cars behind, a car slides out, U-turns, and slips back in about 2 cars behind you. You are being followed.
Driver, did you see that car do a U-turn after you?
Not particularly, sir. I was too busy looking at traffic, sir. Sorry.
I'll describe the car and say, he's following us. Can you lose him?
I can try, sir.
Same car from this morning, Alfred.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
there's $5 in it for you if you can.
Do we want to lose him?
I was going to say, can we drive him to the police station?
Your thirst for knowledge is kicking in. Why you? You don't really want to lose him, Ralph. You wanna confront him. You want to ask him questions.
I wouldn't go that far. But I wouldn't mind luring him somewhere where the police are.
Yeah.
So if we could
I don't even care if the police are there. I'm just thinking underground car park and ambush them.
If we could pull over to one sort of like motel, go in, use the phone, call the police, get Captain Walker, say we're being followed. I'm being followed from the car this morning. Then jump in as though this is the motel isn't good enough, and drive onto another one.
How do we know that Captain Walker's not in on this?
Well, we'll soon find out when nothing turns up and we end up getting shot.
I'd rather, if we are going to confront this guy, I'd rather confront him, capture him, ask him questions.
I'll let Captain Walker find
the body.
Well,
that's on you because I'd need the use of an ornament. So have at it, guys. I'm staying in the car.
Alfred, how are you feeling?
I say we go with Ralph's, but while we're in the motel, while he's making the phone call, I'll try and sneak up on the car. If there's only one person in it, I'll assault him. If there's more than one, then we'll see.
Right.
You could always shoot the tyre out if we need to get away and then just leg it.
That's true. That's very true.
All right, so describe what you're going to do.
Gonna tell the driver to pull into the first motel. Yeah. We'll be going on to somewhere else.
And as you say that, he says, he's about to say, sir, this isn't a place for you to stay.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't want to stay. But we want to use their facilities.
Okay.
In the reception.
So you're going to pull into the hotel, into the motel car park, yeah?
Yeah.
Then
go over to. I'll jump out. Go over to reception.
Okay.
I will as well, but I'll kind of sneak off around.
Okay, so you're going to kind of go around the back and circle round and... Okay.
While they're doing that, I'm going to go into my case and take out my revolver and put it concealed in one of my pockets.
Okay. All right.
Go back into the car.
Let's take a 10-minute break, come back and get this bit of action underway.
Action! It's the way forward. I know.
Cast a heal on her.
Do you know what? I had so many plans for that start that fight on Thursday.
And none of it happened.
None of it happened. I was going to thunderstep away.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then you were like, oh no, I'm going to change it now. In your face, Medic. Yeah, but no, damn scary fight.
But it was, but they were over so quick.
Oh god, yeah. Well, rage, even with no rage, is fatal.
Well, didn't the tech thought require a saving throw?
No, it doesn't.
Shame.
Only requires a saving throw if you want to dig deeper.
Ah,
I was trying to get across to Dart when he was doing that he hadn't seen this thing.
no.
So I was trying to persuade him not to do the detect thought thing.
I
But-
didn't think. I thought that Kurgan still had it, because he wouldn't give it to her at one point, would he? So I thought he still had it.
No, she got it.
Yeah, she got it. Yeah.
She's got it, so that's cool.
Yeah, baby, she's got it. Detect thought amulet. But damn good night that was. That was a damn. Yeah, I thought we were going to wipe, and we probably still might.
Well, you're safe at the moment because you just had a long rest.
Yeah. But nothing magical works. Out of character.
It worked,
Oh,
but
it does.
It just
It's
bites
just-
us back in the ass.
Yeah. See, you've got to think like I do. I play druids. They don't directly attack the people. They use the environment to do it. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
well,
don't cast a spell at the snails. You cast something that will affect the area that will then impact
Yeah.
the snail.
yeah, I've got an idea to use. I don't want to use it because it's a spell slot. I've only got 2 spell slots.
Arms of Hador!
God, Hador! Yes.
Well, I don't know what Kurgan's got that would be suitable. So I'll have to take a look on Thursday and work it out. But
Fireball.
All right, are we back live?
We are back live.
Okay, so first and foremost, because you've all agreed to act on your drives, Ralph, you can regain 1 point of stability because yours was a soft drive, and the other two, Joseph and Alfred, you can both gain 2 points of stability back
Oh,
because they are hard drives.
I just need the 1, thank you.
yeah, I need one.
I put 11 on there instead of 10.
The fact that you're both NUI makes it a little bit challenging because
We are impulsive in a sense.
How do I add it back?
I just moved the ticker across 1. So mine was on 9, so I just clicked 10 to put it back.
Ah, of course. I'm looking at the thing where you roll rather than stability
gotcha.
feature on the top. Right, okay.
Yeah, left hand
Okay.
side is stability and your health.
you pull into the motel car, parking lot, and the taxi kind of pulls up, and you're instructing. You're going to instruct the taxi driver to wait.
Oh, yes.
Okay. You instruct the taxi
Luggages
driver.
in the back.
Yeah, instruct the taxi driver to wait. At this point, Ralph, you jump out and you head into the reception area, the foyer.
Yeah.
Alfred, give me a stealth roll to see how stealthy you are at getting out.
Are you not coming over to the building with me to use restroom facilities and then go from there?
That was the plan, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I think I'll need a stealth
Um,
roll because I was going to jump out, go into the back, get my bag, open it, get my gun out, put it in myself, and hide it in myself.
Okay. Well, actually, you would need to do that. Rummaging in the back for something is not an untoward action. You would need to make a conceal roll, though, to make sure you can hide it.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay, I think
Come
I'm stealthy enough.
baby.
I hope.
Okay.
So that's a 4 conceal.
Okay.
I know where it is. It's just whether anybody can see me slip it into my inside coat jacket.
Okay. That's a 4 on your conceal. All right. So you've done pretty well. 4 would be a general success. But I think it is because it's an active skill, it would generally be
Opposed, isn't it?
opposed. Go a second, I'm just looking skills up. So I was in the wrong place, which is why I couldn't find it. So let's have a look. Conceal.
The general.
Yep, it's under general. Okay, so 4, that's fine. And we're off then. Okay, so Ralph and Alfred, you both step out and head into the foyer under the pretense of using facilities and things. As that happens, Joseph, you go around and you open the boot of the car, the trunk of the car, and you start to kind of rummage. And you surreptitiously slide your pistol into your inside jacket pocket. As you do so, you watch a fairly nondescript black sedan pull in. White wall tires. Although that might be more of a 60s thing, but there you go. It pulls in near the entrance, but the opposite side of the car park away from you.
Yep, I'll close the trunk and move to put myself with the car between me and the other car.
Okay.
And just light up a cigarette and just lean nonchalantly against the car.
Okay. Ralph, you head out one of the rear sort of fire exits. Not Ralph, Alfred, sorry.
I was going to say, what's Ralph doing now? Okay.
Ninja Ralph.
Yeah, I'll try and circle the building to come up on the car from a blind side and take a look when I get near enough to see if I can make out how many people are in the car.
Okay. There appears to be one person in the car.
Okay.
Is it Mr. Potato Head like the drawing?
It is definitely Mr. Potato Head, like the drawing.
Okay. How do brass knuckles work? Do you still use the scuffling skill, or
You
does it
use
then
the
weapon?
scuffling. Yeah, you use the scufflings. No, you'd use weapon skill. Hold on. I'll tell you, actually. With.
If I see Ralph going to the other side of the car, I will turn and wave at the driver of the car to distract him.
Okay.
You mean Alfred?
So yes, Alfred, sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know what Ralph's doing. He's just trying to sit quietly in the car here. And...
No, Ralph's
actually
inside at the reception,
Oh, right.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. So, blackjacks, brass knuckles, koshes, saps, rolls of quarters, shillings tucked up in a fist or a sock, etc., would count as scuffling.
Right, okay. That's what I was hoping you'd say. I've got nothing in weapons.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so I'll put on
So,
my bracket.
Alfred, you've managed to get out into the parking lot unseen as far as you can tell. Ralph, what are you doing? You're still inside engaging the proprietor.
Yeah, I was asking him if he's got a phone I could use. I could pay for the use. I've just seen a crime, and I need to phone the police.
He looks at you quizzically, and he seems reluctant to let you have his phone.
I'll slide in, a couple of dollars, which is a fair amount of money in 1934.
It is a fair amount of money, a couple of dollars, $3. Okay. He says, you won't bring the police here, will you?
No, I'm sure you've got people here that you don't want disturbing with the police. No, they won't come here. I'll be just telling them what I've seen.
Very good. Yeah, and you notice that one of the options is the room by the hour.
Yep.
And there are at least half the rooms are currently occupied by looking at the keyboard behind him. Even though it is 5:15 in the afternoon, so
Yeah, afternoon delight.
afternoon delight. Okay. He kind of picks up he kind of gestures you to come round the desk to use the phone.
And then hits you on the back of the head with Kosh.
I will. Yeah.
Again.
I will go round and then dial the number to Captain Walker that I got.
Okay. Well, you did dial the precinct's
Yeah.
switchboard. Yeah. Los Angeles Police, Precinct 37. How may I help you?
Yes. Is Captain Walker available? I was in earlier for an assault. I did a sketch. I sat for a sketch.
Let me try his number for you.
It's Ralph Haas, if he asks.
Mr. Haas.
Yes. Captain?
I've heard you and your friends have been in a little bit of bother over at the Beverly Hills.
Yes. Yeah, we got back and apparently the place had been raided, and some contraband had been found on the premises, which we suspect has been planted by possibly the people that assaulted me.
Interesting. Well,
Did you mention the name Bobby Davis?
This is beginning to look a little bit like a narcotics-related thing, which so I'm handing it over to Vice.
Yeah, it was Vice that thing. But with regards to my assault, the man that assaulted me is following me in a car. I'm currently at a motel. I'll give that, and I'll say where I am. Okay. We will be heading to. Let me think. A hotel in downtown. I'll pick a hotel in downtown that we've been past. We'll be heading there. I no doubt he will be following us, but I'm being followed by my assailant.
Where did you say you are? And you can hear him kind of turning a book.
I'll give the. I'm at a motel. Just bear with me. I'll ask the proprietor, and I'll
the Shady Star Hotel.
Yeah, it's the Shady Star. I've just come in to use their phone.
Okay. I'll have to pass your call on to state troopers. You're just outside of Los Angeles jurisdiction.
Oh, that's fine.
But I'll instruct them and I'll get them to come over. Obviously, I'll post a car on the border on the city limits. If you come straight in on, and it gives you the name of the road that you're kind of on, head straight towards downtown on that road. As soon as you come into city limits, I'll have a car waiting to intercept.
They're in the same car as well, so it'll have the same plate.
Very good, very good.
So we'll be setting off in 5 minutes. I'm pretending to book a room. So
Okay, gotcha.
okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Captain.
No worries. All right, Alfred, give me another stealth roll, please.
Ooh, that's not good.
All right. As you start to approach the car, you slip and take a bit of a tumble. As it does so, you watch as the driver in the car kind of swivels and clocks you, and then immediately you hear the sound of the engine starting.
Okay. Now, how far away from the car am I?
15 feet, so about 5 yards. No, a bit further than that. You're probably about 10 yards away.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to get there before you can drive off, am I? Okay.
The engine guns to life.
I'll draw my gun and shoot the tires.
Okay. All right, give me a... Jeepers. Okay, this is going to be interesting. All right, I need a firearms check. You can spend any of your pool that you wish. It's going to be a tiny target, so I need you to. You need to hit sixes. You are technically. You need to. Oh, nice.
Oh, you gave me the number.
I was going to say, I was just going through some numbers here. You are technically at close range. Okay, roll the damage.
Oh, I forgot about damage. How do I roll damage? Here we go. Firearms, lights. So that's +2, is it? No, it's not point blank. It's close.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just normal roll.
3. Okay. Your round goes into the tyre, and with a pop, you can hear the hissing of the air coming out. At the same time, he slams the car into reverse and floors it, spraying a load of dust and debris. Joseph, you hear the distinct sound of gunfire, like the pop of a pistol. What do you want to do?
I'm going to draw my pistol and watch the car as it tries to reverse back. I'm also going to move away from our car towards a car that's reversing.
Okay. All right. So the driver manages to... the car snakes a little bit, but he manages to keep going. And he's starting to head, so he's doing a big sweeping turn. But the sweeping turn is bringing him closer to Joseph.
In which case...
hold on. Joseph, go. Joseph. Alfred, go.
Right. So I'm further away now than I was.
You're about 20 yards. You're about 15 or so yards away and increasing quickly.
Could I run up to the passenger window before he can actually stop and put into drive to go forward?
Let me look at your character sheet for 1 second. Give me an athletics roll.
I knew you were going to say that.
Target is going to be 5s.
Oh, hang on. I was going to put some points. I clicked the wrong button.
Okay.
So...
Re-roll. Completely re-roll, but spend your points first.
Now that I've re-rolled.
Okay. The gravelly nature of the ground, you don't quite get your purchase, but you've closed the distance. So he's probably 3 or so yards away from you, maximum. You can come across the car as well, so that he's closer to you. Joseph, go.
Seeing this car reverse at speed after hearing the gunshot, I'm going to bring out my weapon, take careful aim, and I'm going to aim for one of the tyres on my side.
Okay.
And I wish to fire one shot at the tyres.
You are at close range, the same as Alfred. Your target number is 5. Ooh.
Whoa!
Kill me.
Your
It's not
round,
Serengeti.
your round is a little bit off, and it actually goes through into the trunk of the back of the car. Now, what's he going to do? Okay, he's going to slam the car into forwards. The wheels spin. They're not getting purchase. You've managed to gain yourself a little bit of time. So, Ralph, outside you hear pop, pop, and the sound of an engine revving. You're still on the phone to Captain Walker.
I will just say, I believe he's firing at my colleagues. Those state troopers better be quick.
He goes, okay, I'll get my guys over. Forget jurisdiction, he says. I'll get my guys to come over as soon as possible. I don't know where the nearest squad car is going to be, though, but I'll track it down.
Thank you, Captain.
And he says, I'll head out myself in a minute. Though, he said, it's going to take me a good 45 minutes to get to you.
Well, I just hope my friends are alive then.
Indeed. Okay, Alfred, you're about 3 yards away, which puts you about 10 feet or so distance. You're on the driver's side. What do you want to do?
Run up to the driver's window and punch through the window at the guy with the brass knuckles on.
Oh, okay. All right. So go for it. You can run, no problem. Give me a scuffling check, and it's going to be an opposed scuffle. Okay. Remember to spend your points first. Oh, all right.
Oh.
You basically fly up and just go whack really hard. He's got his window down as well. So roll.
Yeah, you were trying to break through the glass, and there was no glass
There's
there.
no glass.
That's why I had the brass
That's
knuckles on.
awesome.
Roll your damage.
Okay.
Double check that.
So that
You
just
can
means
tell his
one
expletive,
device
can't you?
Yeah, I haven't got. Actually, can I add? Is
Can't
there
add-
a...
Yeah, you can't
No.
add points to damage.
No, I was just seeing if there was a brass knuckles weapon to add on there because I don't know what it does. So I'm
Counts
assuming.
as a small improvised. Yeah, small improvised weapon.
Okay. Oh, it does a hit roll as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Okay, you clunk him one. He kind of staggers a little bit. He's still up though.
Yeah, they don't do much in the way of damage.
Just a second. I'm just rolling through.
You need to have your callbacks, your police interrogation, where you punch them and ask them a question at the same time.
Yeah, I haven't got enough interrogation points to do it more than once. Yes, answer on the first answer, or I'll probably end up knocking him out. I wasn't sure whether scuffling the roll would add to damage or not, so I threw a few in there more than I.
Yeah. I expect
Normally
you're safe
would,
and
but-
sorry.
Yeah.
While you're going, who are you? Why are you following us? What's your favourite colour?
Don't care about the last one.
No.
Okay. Right, so you clunk him one. He's still up. He's still struggling with the wheel. He's kind of now got a hand up and he's trying to push you out, and so you've hit him through the window. Okay, Joseph, what are you doing?
Seeing that Alfred has punched him and he's still struggling with him, I'm going to take a bit more time with this shot. I'm going to remember what I did in the Serengeti while hunting wildebeest. I'm going to take careful aim with my pistol. I'm going to look at that rear left tyre and I'm going to pop it.
Okay, no worries. Now the car's not moving, so I'm going to lower the target number to 4.
Oh, that's lucky.
Okay. Roll your damage. You are still at close range.
So ammo damage +2. Do I just roll that dice?
No, it's the next one over. It's close range. Point blank is +2. Do you just click on the normal dice?
So do I click 2 plus dice or?
No, the +0 is close range. +2 is point blank.
I'm off done there.
There we go.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yep.
Point.
Okay. You burst the other tyre. They burst the rear tyre. So now he's got a front tyre and a rear tyre off.
Just want to be driving in circles.
Be on his rims in a bit if he does get anywhere.
It's not massively clear.
It's not going to purchase on gravel with rims anyway, is it?
Well, it's a balance of these old cars, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. So, well, I suppose it depends which front one I did.
Well, I'm
So,
assuming
how it's
you'd done the front right and I did the back left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that seems to be okay. All right. He is gonna try and drive off.
With his arm out the window, grab hold of it.
The car just spins. The wheels that the rear in particular starts to shed rubber from the deflated and damaged tyre. He can't seem to get the car under control. There are several doors in the motel are starting to open, and people are starting to look out.
And they're all running.
All right, Ralph, what do you want to do next round?
I'll have a quick look out the door and see where everybody is. I'm assuming they're a fair distance away because they'll be at the entrance to the.
Yeah, they're closer to the entrance of to the highway than they are in the parking lot itself. Probably from where you are, it's probably 30 yards.
Yeah, nothing I can do here. I'll just make sure I'm out of the way of any gunfire.
Alfred.
If his arms are out the window, see if I can drag him through the window.
Oh, okay. Give me an opposed athletics check then. Cheapest. Not expecting it. You kind of grab his arm and you yank him, and then as you start to yank, you grab his collar and pull him through the window and throw him down onto the ground. And he kind of looks up at you, a little bit of hatred in his eyes. All right. Joseph, what do you want to do?
Well, my intention was to run over with my gun and tell him to turn off the engine. So I will be in forward motion when this happens.
Yeah.
So I will still be moving towards the car, and I will say, "Turn off the engine."
And as you come round the car, I mean, you're not that far away. So as you come round the car to the driver's side, you can see Alfred has just thrown him to the ground.
Mm. I'll give Alfred a smile.
Put the gun at him.
Anything else you want to do? You can still act if you wish.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a tap on the back of the head with my pistol.
He's down on the floor, so the back of the head is going to be difficult.
All right, in which case I'll point my pistol in his face and say, "Who sent you?"
Give me an intimidation roll.
Certainly.
I suppose I can help him.
Add a point
anyway,
in
can
that.
I? something over him.
You are kind of helping by the fact that you've just thrown him to the floor.
So there's a point in that as well.
Yes, okay. Because it's an interpersonal skill. All right. There's this guy. He gets me. He sends me business every now and then. Works for the police force. A guy called Captain Walker.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is other than that. He throws me some work from time to time. He told me to get you out of town to find out and find out what put you onto this old business. I don't know why he wants to know, and I don't care. He works for that big shot up in Pasadena, Trammell or something. So it's probably his business. But like I said, I don't know. I don't care. Let me go, and I'll never see you again.
How do I know that?
Swear it on the Bible.
Bible means shit.
Not to a lot of Americans, it doesn't.
That's true, that.
You got a Bible?
Unless name's
Not in the 1930s, and not to a lot of Americans.
Yeah, true. Swear to me! No, sorry.
Look,
Get running now. Get running. Go on, tell me what. What?
boot of the car, trunk of the car. There's a bag. Take the bag. That should convince you that I won't come after you.
I'll move to the boot of the car, open it.
There is a small canvas bag with a slight bullet hole in it.
Sorry. I'll open it.
And it did have drugs in it that are now leaking all over the place.
Yeah.
No, there are a lot of dollar bills in there, and $10 bills.
Okay. Are they bundles?
Yeah.
I'll chuck him one small bundle and say, if I see your face ever again, we will end you.
Can I have walked over at this point?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can nonchalantly walk over. There are several people still staring out. There's a couple of blokes, in nothing but a towel.
Douchebag. Who planted the nectar?
What do you mean the nectar? Not my doing. I just fed Walker your address. Where you were staying.
All of police then. Okay.
How did Walker know about us in the first place?
We went to go see...
What put him on to us being here?
Trammell.
Yeah,
I would
Trammell.
have thought.
True.
Which is why this guy turned up in the morning.
I got a call from the foreman of the building works. Said you've been sniffing around the old farm.
All over the place. Christ on a bike.
So are we staying here for another week while we go around and deal with these people?
No, it's
With a
sad
few
that
army buddies.
it's going to be like the Wicker Man by the end of this. We're like, no, not the bees!
He gets up. He's got a bit of a welt on the side of his jaw where you cracked him on with the knuckles.
Payback's a bitch.
And he kind of goes to get back in the car. You know,
Oh, no, you're walking.
Yeah. And like I say, I will give him one bundle.
Okay. All right. So you're giving him about $50.
Yep.
Okay. He takes it, puts it in his pocket. He gives each of you.
I'm gonna pass him down. Just make sure he's not got a gun.
Yeah, he does.
Take the gun off him.
He also
Just in case he turns
he
around
also
and-
has a blackjack in his inside pocket as well.
I'll take the gun out and empty all the bullets out, and then give him the gun back.
Okay. All right. You do that. You shove the gun back in his pocket. He kind of wanders off. As he does so, he looks at the three of you with disdain and a little bit of unveiled anger, but also that kind of, I'm annoyed with you. I want to do something, but I know I can't.
Good boy.
We best get moving because Walker's on his way.
Probably, yeah.
Airport.
Take the canvas back.
Yeah, take the canvas back for sure. Just check the car as well, seeing that any other documents, like that he's left in there, like his driver's license or anything like that, because they're usually in the glove
Oh
compartment.
yeah, I was going to say the
there's-
glove compartment.
Yeah, there's in the glove compartment. There's another pistol, and that would be
Right.
sort of a 1911 army issue,
Oh, that'll do nicely. Thank you very kindly. Tick, tick.
and some his driver's license, and probably a sheaf of paper that describes you all in very unflattering terms.
Just out of interest, where's he live?
You can get his address. You can also find a piece of paper with Pisner's private investigations and an address on it.
Nice.
Actually, you will find a card, in his glove compartment that says Pisner PI and an address. Yes, Alfred, he's one of you.
No, he's an inferior version of one of us.
Yeah, he's not an ex-cop.
Takes a lot, and when we get to a phone booth, we'll phone Margaret and tell her about Captain Walker, see if she can get AI on him.
I don't think it was an AI this time, wasn't there?
Pardon?
I don't think there was an AI.
There'd have been an equivalent, wouldn't there?
Possibly.
There was something before internal investigations.
Well, it's the FBI, wasn't it? It just started running about now. Might be wrong.
I don't know.
I want to make a suggestion before we
Yeah, go for it.
run for it. How about setting up in Mr. Peisner's house?
Surely he'll be there.
Not yet, he won't be. He's walking. Wouldn't it be funny when he came home and we're sat there?
Whose house, sorry?
The
Walker's.
PIs.
Oh,
Two choices. We've tried. We fight the police, which is a no-go, or we get out.
Yeah, I don't think we've got much more to find here.
no, I don't.
And I think it'll just get more difficult for us. You know, we've got a job where we have a job proving.
Yeah,
the
and we're getting
corrupt police.
sidetracked.
Yeah,
This is like
we could give these details to that investigative reporter though.
oh yes,
Yeah, that's an idea.
good call.
Maybe once we're sort of like in New York, we could contact him and send them, because I'd rather get out of LA as soon as possible.
Yep, fair enough. Let's go. As I don't believe Walker is going to be there with the welcoming committee.
No, I think he'd be off the books at this point.
So yes, we'll head to the airport then.
Go head to the airport.
Yeah, even though as much as my what's the word? The testosterone in my body that wants to go to his apartment or house and sit there waiting for him to come through the door and go, surprise!
Why not? That would be quite a thrill.
It would be an amazing thrill, but much it pains Joseph now, it's more about saving his friends and getting knowledge to Janet, which is more important because we're here for Janet and for her father.
Okay. All right. You head over to the airport. It's nighttime, though, remember, and it's
Doesn't fly.
November. It's dark, and he doesn't fly at night.
Fine, we can
Like
sleep in the
James
plane
May.
overnight.
Might be an idea to sleep in the hangar.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody comes in the night.
Okay.
Well, what I'd like to do is get the drivers to drop us off well away from the plane and we'll walk to the plane with our bags.
Okay. You get yourself to the airport. You meet Frank. You bed down. Well, you can bed down on the plane itself. Remember, there are bunks in the plane.
Oh yes.
So you can bed down. And again, the night goes uneventful. We arrive dawn, November 12th, and Frank, by about 7 o'clock, as it's 7:30ish, as it's sort of starting to get light, he guns the airplane down the runway, eases back on the yoke, and the DC-9, no, the DC-3 takes off. And over the next sort of 10 or so hours, I can't remember how long it takes, but 10, 12 hours, might be 16 hours actually, but anyway, you fly yourself back to New York.
I'll take a look through the duffel bag while we're flying. How much
There
money
is, okay, so one bundle of 50 notes got destroyed by a bullet.
Sorry.
There is $845 remaining. So I can give you
That's a big old chunk of money.
That is a lot of money, yes. So there was at least $945 in there.
That's well over a year's wages for someone like him.
Correct.
Day one is gone, seriously.
Yeah.
So you can add that to your group's general credit rating fund. You can add 2 points.
Wow.
That wasn't funded by the police. That was funded by
Trammell.
Trammell, yes.
I don't have that much hope for that PI's future. He failed.
No.
Someone that's throwing this much money about.
And he lost some money.
Oh, that PI is going to have a good time.
Yeah, were I him, I would be disappearing.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll disappear.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd be disappearing before I got disappeared.
Well, it's worth when we land telling Margaret, because I just had a quick look. FBI was established in 1908 as the Bureau of Investigations, and its name was changed in 1935 to the FBI.
And
So
wasn't Wyatt
around back then?
Wasn't Wyatt Earp something to do with that as well? Out of interest. I'm sure it was.
Don't know. But there's somebody that can do investigating, so we can make Walker's life a bit difficult at least.
Yeah.
So New York to Los Angeles to New York is a 15-hour flight requiring 3 refueling stops.
Yeah.
Even in this one's specially made, isn't it? For flights.
No, that is taken all that into consideration.
Okay.
Imperial Airways London to Brisbane takes 11 days and 24 scheduled stops.
Yeah.
And costs $20,000.
Which is why people used to take 6 months on a boat.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, first time that we stop off of refueling, I'll give Margaret a call and let her know what's been going on. Even though she's she's dropped out of the investigation, she knows what's happening. So there's somebody else that knows, and see if she can pass this up the chain of command that there's a crooked cop.
Not just a cop, it's a whole force, isn't it? By the sounds of it.
Well, we've got Captain Walker. Bobby Davis is suspect, but if it's been planted and he is a genuine vice cop, then he might just be dragged into it without realizing what's going on. But points out the names and things, so she's got some information as well as another source of what's going on in case something happens to us.
And get to find out if there's anything happened to Peisner as well.
Okay.
possibly get us to check up on Janet. Make sure Janet's okay, because she started the investigation.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we're going now, anyways, Janet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she assures you that she's been checking on Janet and keeping an eye on her, and Janet is fine.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, it takes 15 hours, so let's do this.
I want to draw tool in this map so I can go.
So I will. So I can't do it in here, but yes, you can. And it's not to scale, so it doesn't work. But I do have a map with lines plotted on it and little photographs of places you've gone and what you've discovered. So I'll get the one that takes you from where you started to Savannah to Los Angeles, and I'll put that in here for next week. All right. Well, it's by the time you arrive. He's not gonna. He's actually going to drop you in about 8:30 November 13. That last stop, as it was coming to dark, he doesn't like taking off and landing in the dark, but he will fly overnight in the dark because it's fairly simple to do. But the last stop had you land in the dark or get in the dusk, and he decided that he would you would bed down for the night. So the time you arrive back at Los Angeles into Bennett's Airfield, you're essentially early morning, well, about 8:30 on the morning of November 13th.
New York, you mean?
Yeah, by the time you arrive in New York, yeah, you have effectively been out for 13 days.
And a lot has happened in those 13 days. I'm assuming the hangar's going to be the same when we pull up with the library and thing in it, so is that all gone? It's our own private hangar, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a private hangar, wasn't it? Because that's where we met her with all the books and things set up.
Yeah.
All right. You arrive back at the airfield. It taxis to the hangar, sort of turns around just outside the hangar, and Frank has you depart, and you head into the hangar, and yeah, sure enough, it's a little bit colder than you remember. So there's a nice fire, a couple of fires going. She sat in a blanket, and she kind of welcomes you back. You're happy to see actually Margaret is here, and she's kind of sat talking to Janet, and she gets up as you all walk in, shakes your hand, and she tells you how glad she is that you've made it back alive. And she sits down, and over the next hour or so.
Well, again, as I see Janet, I will walk over, I'll embrace her and give her a kiss on the cheek and a gentle squeeze of a hug, and we've found things.
She pours out coffee and she has you sit, and crumpets and breakfast and croissants and stuff, whatever. And she invites you to tell your tale. What have you learnt about her father?
Ralph, my friend, you have all the information.
I'm going to see if it makes sense with what I know here. Let's start with the group. There were 4 members of the group, right?
Yeah, so... Okay.
So initially we left here and went to...
Savannah.
That's what I've been trying to find.
Yes, I was just flicking through too. We stayed at the DeSoto Hotel. And then we went out looking for your father's colleagues or people that were mentioned in his notes and things. We found a Dr. Keaton. Is that right?
Yeah.
Who let us interview Mr. Job, who was at the same place as your father in 1924 when things happened.
Where was this, and what happened?
We found out this happened in Los Angeles, but we'll come to that, Janet, because we need to do this in order to.
Yeah. We went to Savannah to see Douglas, to find Douglas.
He's alive.
Douglas Henslow.
He's still
yes.
alive, yes.
Yes.
He's in a sanatorium.
Ah. Is that
Yeah.
because of what happened?
Partly, we
yes.
believe, yes. He checked himself in, I believe.
Twice.
And so, yeah, he has been out. He's written letters in while he was out, and he's taken himself back in there because of what actually happened. There was also somebody else that was involved there that was staying in the same sanatorium, coincidentally. So we managed to get some information from him as well as to what was going on at the time.
Just to interject here, you might want to look at Dr. Keaton because he seems to have brought across this other person to Henslow's hospital once he found out they had the same story, in a sense.
Okay.
So it's almost like he's collecting people with the same. That's just my thought, and you know how whimsical I am sometimes, but it just seems to stick in my head a little bit.
So your father and Douglas were part of a group who were looking into the activities of what one could say a nefarious group of miscreants. There was, and it revolves around many of the books that over there concern the occult, and it did concern the occult and ancient religions. But there was lots of profane actions taking place.
And were my father involved in these?
No,
His father was trying to stop them.
He was trying to investigate it and stop them.
I'm trying to uncover these dastardly deeds.
And so what happened?
It seems to have all come to a head when your father Douglas, a gentleman called Vince Stack, a lady called Catherine, and a chap who was an occultist or an expert in the occult called F.C. Coleman. They went to look at a gathering out at one of the leader's farm, and a Mr. Etcheverian, and they were performing some form of strange summoning ritual, and by all intents, from all accounts, something very strange and dark and dangerous happened that night, and many people died.
Did father stop it though?
We believe so.
It seems so.
Yes and no. I believe it's still ongoing.
Postponed?
I think it was, yes, postponed. But I think there is still a thread there, and I think there is still a group of people out there trying to bring about and complete this work. There's a gentleman that's gone to Africa, which was one of the cultures where this occult writings and iconography was from, and he's gone out there to complete some research, I believe.
He actually got a grant from the UCLA to do this.
Yeah, it's a Professor George Ayres.
He seems to be using the UCLA as a cover to investigate more nefarious things.
Around your house and your were there any strange markings put in on the ceiling anywhere that look a little like this? And I'll show the drawing of.
Yeah, that's it, like on portals, like doors and things.
Which image are you showing? The ones from the stones, the one from
the one from the
Sanitarium.
asylum, yeah, the sanitarium, and from Hounslow's house.
Yes.
The protection ones that stop them viewing you and stuff.
She shakes her head and says, as far as she's aware, no, she's never seen them.
Okay.
The people behind this, the ones that we've discovered the names of, most of them are now out of action. They're either dead or in the sanitarium. There's one that seems to be very, very rich and powerful, living in LA, who is very dangerous. He's hired people to try and stop us investigating. And another one, as Ralph said, has gone to try and carry this on, but in Africa now.
And sadly, we were chased out of Los Angeles by the police, who we also know now are involved in this huge cover-up of your father's work.
So that's it then.
No?
I don't believe it is. I believe there's more to do.
Yes, indeed. This is just
to get to the bottom of exactly what's gone on.
We know of at least 2 members of the original group that are still out there that need to be stopped.
Still out there and still pursuing to bring about what your father was trying to stop.
So this is what your father was up to. It's whether or not there's nobody else around now that is pursuing this. The group that he was with, they've all now passed apart from Douglas, who's in the sanitarium, and checked himself in there because he doesn't want to pursue this anymore.
I'm going to lean forward and I'm going to clasp Janet's hands, and I'm going to look her in the eye and say, Janet, is there anything else you need to tell us? Has anybody reached out to you since your father's demise? Is there something more you can tell us? Because the only direction we have now is to go to Africa.
She shakes her head. No, I've got nothing. Africa, you say?
If you want us to carry on and try and stop this group, which was what your father was aiming at, that is the next logical step.
Massaw in Ethiopia, to be precise.
Then, if my father's work is not complete, to leave it now would be everything that he did would be in vain. Everything that Douglas tried to do would be in vain. I think you should If you're willing, you should pursue this.
What I would say, Janet, is please protect yourself. Surround yourself with friends, with people who will protect you.
She nods. I think the same can be said for yourselves. Thanksgiving is soon upon us. Perhaps taking some time to spend with your loved ones. Perhaps we reconvene the day after Thanksgiving.
That's fine by me.
Certainly.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up Act 1 there. You may all take a full refresh.
Huzzah!
Why, shut the front door.
There's
The number of points I've spent today, I needed that.
I know you did. That's why, you know.
I need to think about spending lots of experience as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to give yourself 2 more experience?
What are we up to now?
We're on 14 now, right? Because this is session 7.
Yeah, you should be on 14 experience total. Some of you have already spent some of it, Barry.
I've spent all mine apart from the ones we do now.
Yeah, I've spent 10, so I've got another.
I've spent 2, so I'm going to be happy a lot.
So,
well, I was spending points to help you with library use and things like that mainly.
Oh, here we go. I spent all my points to help you.
So I take it a full refresh has put you all back to full?
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly has, thank you.
Okay, what I want you to think about for next week is how do you reconnect with your pillars of stability? What do you do? Let's have a little bit of downtime RP. So your sources of stability, not your pillars of sanity. You know, how and by the way, Alfred, when he said swear on the Bible, you have faith in the Catholic Church, so you would have been happy and would have held him to his word on that.
Yeah.
So let me know which of your sources of stability you want to contact. Obviously, Alfred, you'll go spend, you've been away from your wife for 2 weeks and you're going to go break the news to her that you're going to go to Ethiopia for who knows how long, right? So I'll take each of you one at a time at the beginning of next week for a little story about what you do. And that, when you do that, let's just be clear, I think that allows you to fully refresh your stability.
I'm trying to find mine. I've got my pillars of sanity, but I haven't got my source of stability. I'll have to check the PDF.
Yeah,
I think it's my parents, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. So you're essentially going to be given what is going to be 11 days of downtime. That does give Ralph the opportunity to pore over at least one of those books.
Yeah, I will also be going to the range as well and getting a pistol.
Montage.
Well, you've got a pistol now.
I've got a 1911. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to get my elephant rifle.
You could have had a sap as well if we'd have taken it back off him. The one that hit you around the head.
Yes, my sources of stability are my brother, Janet, and Beatrice, my mother.
Mine's my wife, a fellow vet who's drinking buddy now, and Margaret's husband.
Oh, Margaret's husband, that's right.
Yeah, who I am also going to let know about Captain
There
Walker.
we go. Yeah, it's my father and my mother. Yeah, mine.
Nobody's lost sanity yet, have they?
No, mine was
No.
also
Wibble.
loss.
Sorry.
Yeah. Are there any skills you need backup on for Joseph.
Skill-wise, no, I've been adding as we go. To be fair, I've spent all mine every week.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. It's like I picked up library use to help with Ralph, so that I could actually do something there. I'm not one of the people persons, so to speak, so that I haven't got much in the way of interpersonal, apart from intimidate and things.
No, I just clicked a wrong button and gave myself a skill that I don't want, but I don't know. I clicked archaeology for some reason.
So I'm going to basically say for Ralph, if you want to pour over, you can choose any of the 2 books that you've got from the Ayres collection, from the UCLA collection that you brought back with you. You can pick 2 of those books to pour over in the 11 days that you have available, while still being able to spend time with your pillars, sources of stability, and learn a little bit about shooting on the range.
So by that you mean Cults of the Axumite Empire, Rift of the Maw, Fishing of the River of Stars, the German one, and Ziggurats of the pre-Helladic period.
Yeah, you can choose any 2 of those books.
Right. Well, the Axumite Empire's Ethiopia, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would say that probably. I'll just mark that in my notes.
I put my 2 points into bureaucracy and intimidation.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Perfect.
I think Fishing the River of Stars, because that's been referenced in what we've talked about with people.
Okay, so make a note of that. We'll cover those next week as well.
Yeah.
So,
I've marked them on
Cults
my
of the
list.
Axumite Empire
and Fishing the River of Stars.
Okay. All right, no problem.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for tonight.
You are welcome.
It's been bloody amazing.
Just a couple more things. So the plan is to go to Ethiopia, right? That's where you're headed.
Yes. Yep.
I will be spending time with Ralph on the firing range, but with a rifle. If we're going to Africa, I think we're going to need a bigger gun in case there's wildlife.
If possible, can I aid them?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Take to my family range, my family home.
Yeah, that's fine.
You
shoot the peasants. Pheasants.
I was thinking more protection from leopards and lions and things rather than.
Yeah.
As a final thing to think about, do you think you missed anything?
Hell yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
So there are 2 definite things that you didn't follow up on.
One I've only just remembered while looking at that is the psychiatrist or the doctor as to how he knew about jobs to put those 2 together, whether they're anything to do with each other.
Jumps and what's his face, yeah.
We definitely.
So there was some. You could have done more with Samson.
Yeah.
And therefore more with Walker. And you have yet to really dig into Nectar.
Yeah.
Yes, I would also liked. Now, I wanted to do this. To be fair, was try to sneak into the premises of one Mr. Trammell.
Yeah, Samson again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Samson and the drugs are linked together. So where we've missed out on the Samson, we've missed out on a few different things to do with that.
Yeah, I think that's a whole thing to uncover.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I think it's been financed.
Yeah.
You can always revisit. I mean, you know where he is. You know his location. You know that Walker's working for him. You can always revisit Los Angeles and
hopefully, when we come back, Los Angeles is still there and it's not a crater in the middle, with a rift somewhere.
Well, the downtime, that's one of the things I was going to do, speak to George and see if he can start something in looking into Walker and find out where those threads lead, with him being still in the police force.
Okay.
So, I don't know what rank he is. If he's higher up, all the better. But there's something over there, so we can hopefully get some more information for when we do come back and head that way.
Yeah, downside this time, this sort of century or time, whatever. Yeah, they all have their own jurisdiction, don't they?
Yeah. But
You getting information from a New York cop. He would probably need to go to Los Angeles. It's unlikely you'll get that.
yeah. But if the FBI is being formed now and is up and coming, he might be able to pass something on to them.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, we could pass it on to the FBI.
Yeah, but
You know,
if it's from a official source like the police, then they might take it more seriously than if it was from an ex-cop.
Yeah, I need to check this. Do you have U.S. Marshals still at this point in time? Because U.S. Marshals have the whole jurisdiction of the whole country, don't they?
Only for people that have escaped.
Yeah.
Is that escapees?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Escapees, yeah. All right. Okay, so just bear in mind, so there are things that you've missed that means other things that you're going to discover may not make a lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
So that's my final pointer to you is you really need to go and investigate Trammell at some point.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later. Okay. So going forwards now, you need to think yourselves about how you're going to, what skills you want to invoke and whether you're going to spend points. No, sorry. You need to tell me what skills you want to invoke, and I will then tell you whether you need to make a spend or not to get the clues that you're looking for.
Yeah.
All right.
And we can't buy skills that we've not had any interaction with or anything yet. So I can't learn mechanics, for example, type of thing. Just plucking one at random.
So technically, according to the book, you can, as long as you can justify why. So for all, downtime, when the aeroplane lands on one of its many refueling spots, you can be working with Frank to look over the engine, which in then my terms would allow you to build up towards a mechanic spend.
Okay.
The one thing I prefer about classic Cthulhu is you can only improve skills that you've used, where it's very difficult here.
That's exactly how I do it. If I use a skill, I improve on it.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to put points into. I was just choosing one at random.
Yeah. I think the key thing is explain to me why you're justifying it. The other thing as well, remember, is you can atrophy up to 2 points from any skills. So you could, as an example, art history, I've not really used it, right? So my art history is atrophied by 1 point because I've not been focusing on that. I'm going to switch that into photography or art because I had a go at sketching and stuff like that.
I will be putting points into art.
So you can do.
See, I love that, but then again,
atrophy assess honesty. Nobody's honest in this thing, so it's pointless having it.
Well, it's interesting. I was hoping one of you're forgetting that skill.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you anything unless you say I'm using my SS honesty to figure out. Because I was thinking when you were interviewing Walker, when Ralph was talking to Walker about the people, if somebody had said, "Can I use SS honesty on him?" you'd have got so many clues.
Yeah, I was
surprised.
I was thinking that, and I nearly said, but somebody said something and it sidetracked me.
Yeah.
Was that I was going to look out for the PI in case he was a policeman in the room as we walked out, but I'd forgot about it. But he wasn't there anyway. But I did have some suspicions. I just didn't follow it.
See, the beauty of this recording it, I can delete everything that happened after that and do it again. No. Stays as it is. It stands as it is. All right.
So what I was saying about putting points into art. Well, I don't have art as an option on the character sheets. Does this mean we're on different character sheets?
No, if you go to edit.
No, I'd have to edit and create it, wouldn't I?
Oh, sorry, right. It's not in your edit.
If you're going to do it, let me know, because then I'll drag the art skill onto your character sheet so you can spend your points.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just-
I'll probably put 2 points into it, so you may as well put it on there, and I'll.
Am I still logged in?
See, I'd
No,
love to.
don't do it now. Just do it.
Yeah.
We'll sort it on it.
So, yeah, I'll probably be the lazy way and use photography instead. I'll take a photo of it rather than draw it.
See, I'd love to actually some of mine, but my character in himself is very flitty and will go from one thing to another. Very, so no. He will use things eventually.
Oops, it's a technical skill, and I've just added it twice. Is it a technical skill? Is it a technical skill or an academic skill?
Technical.
Probably academic, I would have thought.
No, it's technical.
Yeah, I would say technical.
It's definitely technical because
it's doing, isn't it?
I've got it.
Yeah, so it's on your character sheets. If you go to edit, you'll be able to put points in it.
Thank you.
So, what comes under weapons? Is it going to be like spears and swords and things rather than firearms and?
A poker would be a weapon. Anything that's so scuffling is fist. So blackjack
Close combat.
Close
combat is scuffling, and anything using skill with a weapon type of thing would be weapons. I assume.
like a knife.
Yeah.
I use weapons to the firearms. Sorry.
No, firearms is firearms.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I might put points into weapons because I've got a knife. I probably know how to use it from the army. So I've got no points in it.
That is your basic weapon, a knife in the army.
Yeah, but I've got no points in it at all.
Really?
So I'll put some points into that.
All right. Well, have a think about what you want to do, how you want to spend points. Think about a little montage for each of your characters describing, reconnecting with their pillars of stability, what you do, how you do it, etc., etc. We'll start with that next week, and then we'll move into traveling to Ethiopia.
Okay.
And while we do that, we're going to do an airdrop onto
Has anyone got languages, have they? Has anyone got languages?
Two shakes. I have languages, two. French and Spanish.
Good. Because I am. So I'm going to be relying on you two to translate anything that's.
Again, yeah.
To be fair, we speak English. The British rule like 1,000% of the earth, so we'll be fine.
Yeah, true.
All right. So I've never got this far in the campaign, so now I don't know what's coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you've either everyone's given up or you've wiped everyone out.
No, it kind of ran out of steam for some reason in Los Angeles, and I don't know why. I never knew why.
What happened? What happened with that? Didn't it go?
The bits that I can remember were you assaulted Pisner because he was following you in his car, and I think somehow you managed to trap him somewhere, or you tracked him down, followed him back to his offices, and I think you assaulted him in his offices. And then you learnt about Trammell, and you went and you were camping out at Trammell's place, which is where you saw Walker come in and go in. And then you, that's where it kind of ran out of steam for some reason.
Yeah, I can't remember whether something else crops up.
So now that you're putting points into your firearms, we want a big fight. We go back to Trammell's because there's bound to be a big fight there.
Oh, yeah. XP.
Not
Well,
necessarily.
you don't get XP.
No, you don't. No.
No bags of XP running around.
Yeah, no, that's D&D.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why Rage is so chasey stuff. It's like that's a bag of XP just running away. Absolutely not. Oh, you hasted me. Perfect.
Yeah. Cthulhu, bang bang, not XP.
Yeah.
That was absolutely. I can't say it was fantastic. Really good.
Good session.
It's great
Awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Thank you for everything you put into this. It's really well appreciated. Thank you.
No worries. You're welcome.
And more of that, our Game Daddy will be doing more on a Thursday night while we squeeze and drive his creative skills.
And snails.
Get
And
run over by snails because
Yeah.
we're all stunned.
Because you don't understand, they're going,
I don't think
3
Kurgan
rounds
is,
later.
no.
I think Kurgan's okay at the moment.
Because he was out of range.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, was I put in take over on Thursday while he's in a bad situation? But no.
No, it's
I
fine.
think-
It's been really, really good. The tactical way.
I'll have to take a look at what he's got.
Yeah. Spend his skill points. Spend everything. Spend it all. Turn him to a tree.
I think
Yeah.
we need to be looking at spells that are can't be
yeah.
deflected.
Well, that'll leave a lot.
Things like bless would be good.
I'm going to start throwing heat at the snails
Yeah.
that heals
All
me.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're relying on someone having a character with lots of divine spells.
We've got one at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't seen anyone using divine spells apart from cures.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
On that note, I'm going to go to bed. Good night, everybody.
Same.
Take care, all.
Night, chaps.
Safe.
Night, all.
See you Thursday. Bye.
Bye.